Hi guys, r.u.d.o here. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I review African literature. Today I'll be reviewing the book Sweet Medicine by Panashe Chigumadzi, who is a Zimbabwean author. So Sweet Medicine is a book set in Zimbabwe around the year 2008 where there's inflation. If you're Zimbabwean or if you're keeping with Zimbabwean news, you would understand what exactly was happening around that time. I myself was back home in Zim and we were all trillionaires. I think like around that time transport was like 3 trillion, so we were all trillionaires around that time. So with Tsitsi, who's the main character, she ends up like resorting to other ways of finding financial security. She ends up going to a nganga or a sangoma or a witch doctor, and then the witch doctor helps her to like secure a better life through getting a blesser. So the book takes us through how Tsitsi ends up making that decision of her having to go to a witch doctor to secure a life, and it starts with her arriving at her mother's house and then delivering her groceries to her mother. But her mother, she's not very pleased with the life she's chosen, and in that moment you kind of see how religion plays a part in especially African homes. Speaking from experience, how the mother, she's not very receptive of what Tsitsi is doing, which is understandable, but at the same time she's kind of comfortable with the life that Tsitsi is providing for her. She buys everything for her, she makes sure that she's comfortable, but the mother, she's quite cold towards Tsitsi because of the path that she chose to take, because she ends up pursuing a businessman who becomes a blesser. So there's several topics in the book, and one which really stood out for me and which I kind of really understood was how in Zimbabwe connections are the new currency, in the sense that Tsitsi worked hard all her life at school. She was always coming out first. She was very good. She would stay because she went to a boarding school, so she would stay up late, and she would, you know, like what they used to do in boarding school, they would put their legs in very cold water so that they wouldn't fall asleep. So she played by the book. She took each and every single step that you're told to do when you have to succeed. But at the end, she actually realized that for her to survive, she had to look for other means, because even when she got a job, she couldn't even sustain herself or maintain herself, because even her pay, it was only enough for the transport. So she ended up resorting to other means. So the topic that really stood up for me there was how in Zim or most African countries, it doesn't matter how good you are at something or how hardworking you are. If you don't have connections, sadly, in most cases, you won't really get where you want to get. So that's something that was brought up, which I've really seen and experienced. So there's also religion, how there was African traditional religion and Christianity, how because Tsitsi was raised in a strict Christian home. Her mother, she played by the book, she played by the law of the Bible. She would take all the commandments in the book. So she was like very religious, to the point that she really looked down upon her daughter, but at the same time she was kind of enjoying what she was bringing in. And also then Tsitsi, besides being brought up in a Christian home, she ended up going to a nganga, and then she got the medicine to bewitch Mr. Robo, who was a minister, who ends up being her husband. So it kind of shows how both, in a way, they're kind of in play, regardless of if someone is brought up in a Christian home. Sometimes when push comes to shove, they end up opting to do something else. Not everyone, but other people, they're pushed to do that. Not that I'm justifying it, but I'm just trying to bring out a point of what happens in other cases. Being the only graduate in the family, there was also pressure for Tsitsi to provide for a mom and a sukuru. So it kind of pushed her to kind of want the best, because there was no other way. Because I remember there's a statement when she would go to work, come back, and she would be tired, and she would, like, her pay was not enough to pay anything at all. And then her mom would be like, oh, that's how life is. And to her, those words, they really stayed with her. She was thinking, so is this all there is? Is this what life has to be like? And that pushed her to kind of make the decision to go after the minister, who she ends up bewitching to keep. So there's a topic on friendship and how Tsitsi is quite judgmental towards Cheza, who's a friend. Cheza, as I said before, she's a wild child and she would sleep with whoever she wanted to, and Tsitsi would look down on her because she would say, oh, why are you sleeping with all these random men? But at the same time, she was sleeping with a married man, and she was actually using like other means to get him, to keep him, for him to stay with her, because Tsitsi ends up moving into the main house, and she's no longer the mistress. What I also liked about the book was how she also used like her language, her vernacular. I'm very much grateful for that. I'm also grateful for like African writers who have been using their own languages. I'm all for it, because it kind of shows they're writing for themselves, but they're also not writing under the white gaze, which is very important, because in the process it kind of helps us understand the person, and also learning new language in the process, which I'm always for. I love learning new languages. However, I kind of felt like it was a bit rushed, because we didn't get a chance to explore other characters like Mrs. r.u.d.o. We just know that she was divorced, then she moved out of the house, and then the workers who were in the house, they were loyal to her, but we really didn't get to explore what she went through after the divorce, and what the husband was also going through, and also how Tsitsi ended up getting with Mr. r.u.d.o. Like, for me, when I read the part, I was like, okay, did I read that correctly? Because I felt like it was very quick. I had to read it twice to really understand that, oh, okay, that's what she did for her to end up seducing him. So yeah, the book is quite small, so it won't take you that long to read. It depends if you're a fast reader. Even the font is quite big. So yeah, if you want something for a light read, you'd probably enjoy this. And also, if you kind of want to understand the situation, what was happening in Zimbabwe around 2008. So this was actually my first experience reading a book by Panashe Chigumadzi. She's written These Bones Will Rise Again, which I've heard so much about, and I'm looking forward to read. And there's also Why I No Longer Talk to Nigerians About Race. And yeah, as soon as I finish reading them, I'll obviously give a book review about them. And yeah, that's all for today. If you want to talk about the book or have any suggestions, please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Until next time, bye.